What if the country you thought was a land of opportunity suddenly decided you didn't belong? In 2024, several nations are ramping up mass deportations, sending waves of immigrants packing. But what's really behind these shocking moves? Get ready to uncover the truth behind the countries kicking out immigrants and why it's happening now. Now let's dive in. But wait, before we dive fully into this, take 2 seconds and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on our future amazing content. And hit the like button. 10 countries kicking out immigrants in 2024. The shocking truth behind mass deportations. 1. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania cities, particularly Pittsburgh, showcase some of the most notable racial disparities impacting Black communities. With a population of over 13 million, Pennsylvania has a Black population of approximately 12%, yet their experiences in employment, income, and health reveal significant inequalities. According to Bloomberg, Pittsburgh, while rich in industry and culture, ranks poorly in income equality for Black residents. The median income for Black households lags substantially behind that of white households. Black families in Pittsburgh make on average $28,000 annually compared to $53,000 for white households. That's a staggering gap in one of the state's most prominent cities. With such economic disparity, it's no wonder the state finds itself on this list. Employment outcomes for Black residents also reflect this inequality. The unemployment rate for Black Pennsylvanians is over twice that of white residents, and Black professionals are often underrepresented in high-paying industries like tech and finance. What does this mean for upward mobility and long-term economic stability? Health outcomes are equally concerning. Studies show that Black residents in Pennsylvania have higher rates of chronic diseases such as diabetes and hypertension, and receive less access to quality health care. Some communities have life expectancies that are nearly 10 years shorter than those in predominantly white areas. So if you're considering the states where Black people face the most challenges, Pennsylvania's data speaks volumes. How is it possible in 2024 for such glaring disparities to persist? This isn't just about numbers, it's about real lives impacted by systemic inequality. Stay tuned as we reveal the states where these issues are most prevalent, because understanding where these challenges lie is the first step toward change. 2. Kansas. Kansas, often celebrated for its open plains and quiet towns, reveals a less idyllic reality when we look at racial disparities in homeownership and income. With a population of about 3 million, Kansas has a Black population of roughly 6%, but the economic landscape for Black residents is far from equal. According to 24/7 Wall Street, the Black homeownership rate in Kansas lags significantly behind that of white residents, creating barriers to financial stability and generational wealth. While homeownership is one of the most crucial ways to build wealth in America, Black residents in Kansas face striking obstacles. Only about 32% of Black households in Kansas own their homes, compared to around 72% of white households. That's less than half, reflecting a sizable gap in housing opportunities that affect stability and security for Black families across the state. The income disparity is equally concerning. The median household income for Black residents in Kansas stands at approximately $35,000 annually, while white households earn a median of around $60,000. This income gap not only impacts daily living standards but also limits access to better schools, healthcare, and investment opportunities. For Black Kansans, it makes you wonder, how are communities supposed to thrive when such large financial gaps persist? In the states where Black people face the most challenges, Kansas certainly earns its place due to these inequities in housing and income. Why is it that a state with so much potential is still grappling with these disparities? It's more than a question of numbers, it's a reality check on the barriers that prevent Kansas from being an equal playing field for everyone. 3. Michigan. Michigan, with a population of roughly 10 million, has long grappled with racial disparities that continue to impact its Black residents, who make up about 14% of the population. Despite Michigan's rich history and cultural landmarks, certain economic and social realities paint a very different picture for Black communities across the state. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Michigan's median household income for black residents stands around $35,000, while white households earn a significantly higher median income of approximately $63,000. That's nearly double, a gap that ripples through aspects of life like housing, education, and healthcare. When it comes to homeownership, only about 40% of black Michiganders own their homes, compared to nearly 76% of white residents. This illustrates a stark disparity in housing stability and wealth-building opportunities. Unemployment rates also tell a story. Black residents in Michigan face an unemployment rate of around 10%, more than twice the rate for white residents. This disparity in employment opportunities contributes to a poverty rate of roughly 30% for black Michiganders, significantly higher than the 10% poverty rate among white residents. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the challenges don't stop there. High incarceration rates further complicate the social fabric for black communities in Michigan, creating a cycle that makes economic advancement and stability all the more difficult. Cities like Detroit, once the beating heart of America's automotive industry, have struggled with economic decline that has disproportionately affected black residents, leading to fewer job opportunities and greater economic hardship. So if you're watching the states where black people face the most challenges, Michigan's place on this list makes sense. How can one state hold so much promise yet still wrestle with these inequalities? 4. Nebraska. Nebraska, known for its sprawling plains and warm Midwestern charm, has a population of about 2 million, with black residents making up a small but significant 5% of the total. While the state has plenty of appeal, the reality for black Nebraskans can be less inviting. Economic and housing disparities create obstacles that impact daily life, making Nebraska a relevant pick in the states where black people face the most challenges. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median household income for black Nebraskans is around $33,000, while white households earn approximately $63,000. This considerable income gap influences everything from access to better neighborhoods and education to overall economic stability. When it comes to homeownership, the divide is striking. Only about 32% of black residents in Nebraska own their homes, compared to nearly 72% of white residents. The job market also tells a sobering story. Black residents in Nebraska face an unemployment rate of nearly 9%, which is more than double the rate for white residents. This disparity not only limits income potential but contributes to a poverty rate for black Nebraskans of around 25%, compared to just 8% for their white counterparts. How can a state known for its welcoming communities still be struggling with such severe inequalities? Additionally, high incarceration rates for black residents compound these economic and social challenges, creating a cycle that's difficult to break. While Nebraska might seem like a peaceful place to call home, these systemic issues raise important questions about access, opportunity, and fairness for all residents. 5. South Dakota. South Dakota, with its majestic Mount Rushmore and the serene beauty of its endless prairies, may seem like a land of opportunity, but for its small black population of just 2%, the reality is starkly different. With a population of about 900,000, the state's black residents face an uphill battle. The median household income for black families in South Dakota is a striking $30,000, far below the $63,000 earned by white households. This income disparity doesn't just represent a number, it translates into limited access to education, healthcare, and job opportunities. For black residents, the path to financial independence is blocked at nearly every turn. The homeownership rate is alarmingly low. Just 25% of black South Dakotans own homes, compared to a robust 70% of white residents. This vast difference creates an even deeper divide, preventing wealth accumulation and solid financial foundations. On top of this, black South Dakotans face an unemployment rate of 12%, more than double the rate of their white counterparts. Poverty strikes hard, with nearly 30% of black residents living below the poverty line, a sharp contrast to the 10% of white residents experiencing the same. Even in a state famous for its wide-open spaces and rich history, black South Dakotans find themselves trapped by systemic barriers that deny them the full benefits of the state's opportunities. Oh, And by the way, I know you're liking this video already. Go ahead right now and show me some love by hitting the like button. Done. Alright. Let's continue. 6. Minnesota. Minnesota, often celebrated for its stunning 10,000 lakes and vibrant Twin Cities, is also home to some of the most glaring racial disparities in the United States. With 7% of the state's population identifying as Black, the divide between Black and white residents is felt deeply in the economic and educational sectors. The median income for Black families stands at just $38,000, nearly half of the $76,000 earned by white households. This income gap creates a chasm that limits Black families from building wealth or securing financial stability. The disparity is felt even more acutely in housing, where only 25% of Black Minnesotans own homes, compared to a staggering 70% of white residents. The inability to access homeownership not only curtails wealth building but also limits the stability that comes with owning property. When it comes to education, the racial divide only widens. Black students in Minnesota face graduation rates and standardized test scores far behind those of their white peers. Minnesota may pride itself on being progressive, but its Black residents continue to face a system that keeps them locked out of equal opportunities. These systemic barriers contribute to a cycle of poverty that is difficult to break, leaving many Black families struggling to overcome persistent inequalities. 7. Missouri. Missouri, home to the iconic Gateway Arch and a rich cultural history, is also a state grappling with deep racial disparities that have long affected its Black communities. The median income for Black residents in Missouri hovers around $36,000, far below the $60,000 earned by white households. This wage gap is only one part of the problem. The consequences extend into every facet of life. Black Missourians face homeownership rates that are far lower than their white counterparts. Only 37% of Black residents own homes, compared to 70% of white residents. This disparity in homeownership prevents many Black families from building generational wealth, leaving them vulnerable in the face of economic downturns. Unemployment is another area where the gap is glaring, with Black residents experiencing an unemployment rate of 9%, nearly double that of white residents. The poverty rate in Missouri for Black residents is even more troubling, with 25% living below the poverty line, compared to only 10% of white residents. Missouri's racial disparities are compounded by high incarceration rates and a history of racial tensions, especially in cities like St. Louis, where the legacy of inequality runs deep. Despite Missouri's historical significance and cultural contributions, its Black residents continue to face overwhelming barriers that prevent them from achieving economic equity and social mobility. 8. Connecticut. Connecticut, often seen as a beacon of affluence with its picturesque coastlines and prestigious universities, masks significant challenges for its Black residents. Despite being a state known for its wealth, the economic divide is startling. Black residents, who make up 10% of the population, have a median household income of $47,000 compared to $88,000 for white households, a staggering income gap that prevents many from accessing the opportunities that the state's prosperity promises. This disparity is further reflected in the housing market, where only 31% of Black residents own homes, compared to nearly 75% of white residents. The inability to own property in a state known for its real estate values is a barrier that keeps many Black families from creating long-term financial stability. Furthermore, Black residents face a higher unemployment rate of 10%, nearly twice the rate of white residents, adding another layer of difficulty in achieving economic independence. These challenges create a sense of economic insecurity for many Black families in Connecticut, with higher rates of poverty and fewer opportunities for financial advancement. While the state may be celebrated for its wealth and academic institutions, Black residents are often left out of the narrative, facing systemic obstacles that hinder their progress toward equality. Let us have your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us. If you found this information enlightening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content about cities and cultures from around the world.